All right, welcome to the Business Freedom Podcast with Coach Jonathan, where we help business owners build systems, grow profits, and gain freedom. So thank you for joining in today, and I'm so happy to have my friend Michael Cabradilla, who is with LegalShield. Michael, it's good to see you. Michael and I are part of the local BNI chapter, where we do a lot of networking, and Michael is a master networker. So thank you for joining, Michael.
Absolutely. Excited to be here, man. Let's make some things happen.
I know this is going to be great. You know, there's two types of motivation: proactive and reactive. You're going to get something done. Either you're forced to do it or you're going to do it ahead of time. And I'm happy that you're here to kind of talk about some ways where you can help some of the business owners that we work with at Action Coach to move from being reactive onto being proactive. So proactive says, what can I do? Where reactive says, well, what's happening to me? And a lot of times I work with business owners and they're working behind the eight ball, or they're working behind things where, man, I'm just putting out a lot of fires. Or you think that busyness is a badge of honor, right, where honestly we're just being reactive to things. Or it can be a case of being preventative versus restorative, where we're now fixing things. So I'm glad to have you here from LegalShield. I know that business owners can greatly use your work. So what are some of the things that LegalShield can do for business owners?
It's a really good question. And you know what's interesting is that when you're talking about being proactive versus reactive, just in legal services or attorneys in general, I mean, you think about it, it's a very reactive, industry, right? Like, so when do people contact attorneys?
Yeah, when they have a problem.
Crap is hit the fan, right? Like, that's like the biggest thing. And over the years, having to educate people in the community, whether it's business owners or individuals and families, we have to realize that you can use attorneys not just for reactive situations, but, for situations where you can be proactive about things, right? And so essentially what LegalShield does is it gives people access to attorneys and not having to worry about the high hourly cost. It's a subscription-based service where anytime that you have a situation, you just pick up your phone. Like, we have a mobile app where you can just tap a button on there, contact an attorney. As a business owner, it can be really invaluable to get the right information, to know what your rights are and to know what your options are. And that's how LegalShield gives people access to attorneys. So
yeah, wow, that is very valuable. I remember as a business owner, you're worried about the cost of it, but you need the help and you don't know how situations are going to work out. You're in reactive mode. But if you had that resource to just be able to turn on or bring in, it's like you have a legal firm in your own office.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's kind of like when you first get started in business, right? Like you maybe are good at what you do, but you don't know the business side of things. When someone's starting a business and they start it without the right foundation, like the legal foundation, it can come back and, bite them in the butt like later down the road, right? So having legal protection in the very beginning and throughout your business, it can really help. So
awesome. So for what I'm understanding is at any stage of business, a business owner should reach out to you.
Yeah.
And get started.
Yeah, because you think about it, when people start a business, they typically have never started a business before, so they don't really know what the rules and regulations are, how to do things. So why not speak to somebody who knows what they're talking about as you're building that to make sure you don't make mistakes, right? So
awesome. So it is moving from reactive to proactive, just in that way. What are some of the recent clients that you've worked with that maybe we can relate to? Yeah, maybe some business owners.
You know what? I'll share this with you, right?
Yeah.
So from the simple, because since we're talking about people getting their business started, right? So a handful of years ago, my wife, she started a home-based baking business, right? But she wanted to know what the laws were as far as what she could make. Could she make the macarons, the sugar cookies, the cake pops from home, right? And she didn't know that there were these things called cottage food laws. But she was able to call the law firm on the mobile app, be able to speak with them. They walked her through the process. She was able to legitimize everything, because a lot of people, they do business under the table, or they don't really get licensed, or they don't get insured. And she was able to do all of that stuff because she got the knowledge, through the LegalShield app. So that's one. Another thing would be like debt collection situations, right? I was having a conversation with you, like flood and fire restoration companies. They deal with a lot of insurance money, and clients owe them money. I remember years ago, I owed somebody some money and they just sent letters to me, but not from an attorney.
Right.
So I kind of didn't really actually pay attention to them. But if I were to have gotten a letter from an attorney, I would have paid attention to it a lot more. And that's what LegalShield can do. That flood and fire restoration company that I'm talking about, they've collected over $200,000.
Wow.
in the first 4 years that they've actually had the service. And, it's just an additional layer of proactive, protection to make sure that they can, collect that money, so.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. How about in the real estate side of things?
On the real estate side of things, well, you think about it, if somebody's purchasing a house, buying a home, things like that, it actually is, in most cases, their largest purchase. So if you're making your largest purchase, wouldn't you want to know that everything, all the T's are crossed, I's are dotted? Like I said earlier, you want to make sure you talk to somebody who knows what they're talking about versus they don't know. Or even in a business owner standpoint, right? You maybe sign a lease. I remember there's a guy, he actually owned a tire shop. And, that day I was just walking the community, met him, and he said, "Hey, I'm having an issue with my contract." And it's crazy because in the situation, he owned the tire shop, but right next door was a full mechanic shop. And when he signed the agreement, the mechanic said, "I'm not going to do anything tire related." But guess what? People would walk onto the premises, and he said they started taking his clients. He said, "This is not fair." And guess what? He signed a contract that he shouldn't have, because nowhere in the contract does it say that that person couldn't do tires. And so it was a really bad contract.
Wow.
So he should have gotten that reviewed before he signed the lease. And he couldn't get out of it. He ended up just paying out. But, that was a challenging situation.
Yeah, that is.
Right?
Wow. What a value and service that you offer. I mean, a business owner is usually very good at what they do.
Of course.
They're a good dentist. They're a good lawyer.
Yep.
They're a good plumber. They're a great roofer, a great tire shop, tire installer. But all these services that you offer, they're not good at, and that's just going to overwhelm them. And that's going to keep them from being profitable in their business, because now they're worried about things that are so difficult. And so they have to hire an attorney, a lawyer at such a high rate. So I can see where you guys fit in really nice with the business owner.
Yeah. Typically, like when we sit down with the business owner and just show them, like, one of the questions we always ask is like, what keeps you up at night in regards to your business? And it's typically a laundry list of things, right? Whether it's hiring and firing, or employment related situations, or, a possible lawsuit. Like I remember a couple years ago, there was a business owner, and they reached out to us because they said, we just recently fired someone, but did we do it properly, right? And it was keeping them up at night, and they needed to speak with someone to, find out what the proper steps were. Because in this day and age, we live in the most litigious society in the world, and anybody can sue anyone for anything right now.
Right.
So that kind of keeps people up at night. So it's a good resource for
absolutely.
Yeah.
And then once a business has a program or a package with you, are the employees also able to receive some sort of benefits?
Yeah. So we have plans for individuals and families. We have plans for business owners. We have plans for commercial drivers, and we also have plans for the employees of companies. So think about it. So let's backtrack in regards to small business, right? So you might have a solo business owner, a solopreneur. We have business plans for that person. But you also might have a company that has 25 employees, 50 employees, 100 employees, 1,000 employees, right? They can actually still utilize the business plan. So most companies, they actually do business without a legal department. Like, think about that, right? Most businesses don't have legal departments.
Right.
LegalShield can kind of fit in there as the legal department. And guess who has access to the plan? The business owner has access to the plan. They can have additional users, like let's say a manager, maybe a human resources director needs access to an attorney. And on that same plan, they can all have access. As far as the employees go, we can offer our services as an employee benefit. So you think about it, a business owner might offer health benefits, dental benefits, vision. But if they don't have a legal benefit or an identity theft benefit, we can actually offer these benefits at a discounted rate. It's actually like a 40% discount that we can offer to the employees. And one of the most, the highest selling parts of that plan is last will and testament, living will, healthcare directive. Imagine all of your employees having access to that, included in the benefit, and their families are taken care of too, so.
Wow, that's great. Man, you have something for everybody. What's some ways, or the best way that listeners can connect with you and get in touch with you?
Yeah, that's a great question. Super simple. I always give out my personal cell phone. It's 619-917-1315. And my email address is info@worrylessrightnow.com.
Worry less right now. I love it. Well, at Action Coach, we are always encouraging clients to take action, to be proactive. And that doesn't only mean offensive strategies like marketing, when we work with marketing strategies, with sales or leadership, but also with defensive strategies, implementing strategies to protect what you've worked so hard to build, to fortify your business and protect what you value most.
Yeah.
And Michael, I'm so happy that you were here to join me and represent LegalShield. And I hope that this has been of a blessing to someone out there, and that they will take this and reach out to you and protect what they value most. So thank you so much for your time.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, man.